So it's 4.4, factoring. And the first thing we're going to do is find the GCF, okay? Because you have to do that in this method that I'm going to teach you. Yes, the greatest common factor. All right, the greatest common factor, finding the GCF. Okay, we're going to do, and I'll tell you, in my other classes, I had 11 problems that we were going to go over, but in first period and in second period, they caught on pretty fast, so we didn't go over that many, okay? If y'all seem to be catching on, then we can go over fewer and let you stop and go ahead and work on the practice on your own at that time. Okay, so we're going to do 4 where you're finding the greatest common factor. The first one we'll do is 2x squared minus 4x. Okay, and the way that you find the greatest common factor, right, is usually you can look at it and tell. First, we'll look at the numbers, okay? We've got 2 and 4, okay? What's the greatest number that you can factor out of both of those? 2, right? Okay, so I'm going to pull that out to the front. Right, and then do all the terms have x's? Yes, right? Okay, sometimes there's more than 2. On the ones we're going to do today, there's only 2, but sometimes there's more than 2. You have to look at all of them. They all have x's. They all have at least how many? 1, right? So we're going to, because this one has 1. So 2x is what we can take from both of those terms. Okay, so that will be our greatest common factor. Then we'll do parentheses. And inside the parentheses is what's left over after we factor out, after we divide out our greatest common factor. So if we take a 2 and 1x from this 2x squared, what's left? Another x, exactly. Okay, because there's 2 x's. And then if we divide negative 4 divided by 2, right, that's negative 2, and we took 1 x away, so there's no x's left. Okay, a couple of things. The last one will always be just a number because we're going to take all the x's that we can from it, okay? The number you pull outside is your greatest common factor, okay? So I'm just going to call it, that's my GCF, and this is what's left over. The reason that we do this is because here with 2x squared minus 4x, those numbers are bigger and more complicated than this. If we can take out the greatest common factor, we're left with smaller, easier to work with numbers, like just x and negative 2. Okay, those are smaller than having x squared and an x. All right, next one. Let's do x squared plus 7x. And you know, I'm going to do this so that you know this is your answer. It's 2x times x minus 2. Also, it's backwards distributing. If you notice, we're undoing distributing. If you multiply this into the parentheses, 2x times x, we'll get 2x squared. 2x times negative 2, we'll get negative 4x. Okay, so we're basically like undoing distributing. Just so you know, that's a way you can check it if you want to make sure you did it correctly. So at number 2, right, can we take a number from both of them?
1.
Right, just 1, okay? So I'm not even going to do that. I just saved time without even writing it. Since this is an understood 1, I'm not going to worry about that. We can't take anything greater than that out of there. What about, how many x's can we take from them? 1x, right? So I'm going to take an x outside. If I take 1 away, what's left here? All right, 1x, just an x, right? If I take an x away from this, what's left? All right, a 7, right? I just took an x from here out to here and an x from here. That's out here, and that leaves me with x plus 7. 1 fewer x with each of them. Okay, and x is my greatest common factor in that case. Okay, number 3. I want you to do this one for me on your own. Okay, 4x minus 12. Okay, factor out the greatest common factor. Okay, what's a number I can factor out of 4 and 12? 4, right? Yeah. Okay. What about, can I get an x from both of them? No, right? So my GCF is just going to be 4. And then what's left? X. And then if I divide negative 12 divided by 4? All right. Negative 3. All right, negative 3. Right, because we're dividing. I keep saying take out, but I mean dividing. Right, I mean like factoring out means dividing. And one more that I want you to do for me. No, since the 4 goes into 4 and 4 goes into 12, then the 4, we can take it out. If it was only, like, say this was a, I don't know, number that doesn't, only 2 goes into 10, then I could take a 2 out of both of them. Right, it would change. But since I took the whole 4, it just stays the same. All right, and this one, 5x squared plus 35. Oops. 5x squared plus 35. What can I factor out? Just a 5, right? And what's left inside? Plus 7. Good. Good. Okay. X squared plus 7. Awesome. Okay. So again, the GCF is what you pulled out front every time. Okay. So we're going to be doing that within our factoring problems. This is finding the greatest common factor.